This week, Tesla made a huge change to every new Tesla sold in North America. No Tesla delivered going forward in North America will include the Autopilot lane centering feature, which Tesla has included as standard equipment since April 2019 and has been an available option since September 2014. As of today, Autopilot is gone. That wasn't a product decision, it was a forced one. Once you understand why, this outcome becomes unavoidable. The result is fewer standard features, higher costs, and no meaningful middle ground for millions of future Tesla buyers. Most people so far are focused on the obvious cash grab angle that Tesla is looking to compel more new buyers to pony up for the $99 per month subscription for full self-driving in its current supervised form, a price that Elon Musk has claimed will rise as FSD capabilities improve. And here's the part most people are missing, because it has nothing to do with pricing. But as with most things in life, that's not the full story. Here's what everyone else has missed with this change and why Tesla has no other option than to drop the feature from all new Teslas, despite it making their entire lineup less competitive and far less compelling for the average North American buyer, leaving cars at half the price from other automakers with a more compelling driver assistance suite included from the factory. Is this the inflection point Tesla investors have been craving, or their worst nightmare? Let's go ahead and dive into the facts. First, what is Autopilot? Autopilot is the branded name Tesla gave their driver assistants for two very specific features. First is traffic-aware cruise control, which is where the vehicle will respond to changes in speed when you have a lead car ahead of you. So if you set the cruise to say 60 miles per hour and the flow of traffic is adjusting below that speed, your Tesla would adapt to the flow of traffic. But you as the driver remain in control of setting the maximum set speed, of which the vehicle will never exceed under any circumstance, as well as lane positioning. For years, this function relied on a combination of cameras and radars for this feature. That multimodal approach led to one of the better adaptive cruise products on the market. We used it in a rented Model 3 for a 4,334-mile road trip to Wisconsin and back. It worked extremely well to smoothly adapt to the flow of lead cars ahead of us. However, in May 2021, prompted mostly by a supply chain parts shortage, Tesla removed radar from all new vehicles. And to make matters worse, they ultimately retroactively disabled the radars in cars that had originally shipped with them. The result? Much longer following distances, slower top-end set speeds, and objectively worse start-stop reaction performance to surrounding vehicles in stop-and-go traffic. This matters because it shows Autopilot didn't just stop improving, it actually got worse. The 2022 Model Y Performance we owned for almost 2.5 years relied on this vision-based cruise, and it had poor performance over our time with the vehicle that never improved in any perceptible way. This is still the traffic-aware cruise control that Tesla is shipping today, based on a software stack that has seen little meaningful improvement since before the radar was removed. Auto Steer was the second and arguably most important piece of the Autopilot stack. Auto Steer, which forever had the beta tag applied and never ended up graduating before the feature was removed, allowed the Tesla to do basic lane centering or lane keep anywhere the vehicle could see lane lines. Tesla required you to be fully attentive and ready to take over, and would monitor the driver through both steering wheel torque input as well as camera-based monitoring for vehicles equipped with an interior camera. This is incredibly similar to the universal hands-free feature that Rivian has recently rolled out to Gen 2 vehicles as part of Autonomy Plus, with the notable exception that this feature from Rivian works hands-free, utilizing camera-based monitoring, and is part of their premium upgrade as opposed to being included. Rivian does include a subset of this with hands-on for pre-approved divided highways and leverages primarily capacitive steering wheels to confirm drivers are touching the wheel and in control of the vehicle. But the assistance will continue to help center the vehicle in the lane. However, similar to the current state of Rivian's in-house system, Autopilot consistently struggled with performance around on and off ramps, attempting to center the vehicle around the widening of perceived lane space in a way that humans intuitively understand is incorrect. Both Tesla's early version of Autopilot and Rivian's initial assistance, which relied on a mobilized solution, did better around these on and off ramp scenarios. Tesla's own far more advanced and expensive in-house driver assistance handles this problematic scenario beautifully. But AutoSteer, much like their basic traffic-aware cruise control, hit a point of stasis where the product never improved and all of Tesla's efforts went into their more advanced offerings. However, even without any material improvement, the combination of their adaptive cruise and AutoSteer being included on every new Tesla sold was a major selling point. There was no matrix of hardware options you had to choose from, and for years you just knew that if you bought a new Tesla, you could do these two things. The two things that the majority of drivers felt would fit their needs well enough. This is proven in the fact that Tesla's own filings show a roughly 10% take rate of the more advanced driver assistance products. But then, things start to get complicated. The first real warning sign actually showed up with the Cybertruck. Not because of its sales, its design, or the controversy around it, but because Cybertruck exposed something important about Autopilot. When Cybertruck began shipping outside of the limited Foundation series, Tesla quietly ran into a problem. The existing Autopilot codebase was no longer in a state they were willing to maintain or adapt to new hardware. Instead of updating Autopilot to meet those commitments, Tesla chose a different path. Buyers who were originally promised Autopilot-level functionality were offered temporary access to full self-driving supervised instead. That decision matters and started a domino effect we hadn't seen fully play out yet, because it showed, explicitly for the first time, that Tesla was no longer treating Autopilot as a product worth maintaining. It was already being phased out in practice, even if the branding hadn't caught up yet. Then, in October 2025, Tesla introduced the standard version of the Model 3 and Model Y. These were stripped-down versions of the 3 and Y with the sole purpose of existence to hit a lower price point. When these shipped, the removal of Autopilot was one of the notable differentiations between the standard and premium versions, of which many car enthusiasts immediately pointed out the number one reason to buy a premium model instead, not to mention the significant hardware improvements between the premium models over the standard versions. And now finally, on January 23, 2026, Tesla cut Autopilot from the entire range. No new Tesla ships with it in North America. The more expensive Model S and Model X have the forced Lux package that includes a license to FSD supervised. And the Cybertruck has never supported Autopilot as a standalone feature. But the big question is, why? The community has been quick to point out that Elon Musk has a $1 trillion pay package that has many milestones to unlock that compensation, one of which is having 10 million plus FSD subscriptions. I'm sure this move helps that goal to some degree by begrudgingly forcing some customers to pony up $99 per month just to get any level of advanced driver assistance. But there is a far more logical explanation for why this is happening. The state of California, which is Tesla's single largest market within the United States, has taken specific issue with the Autopilot marketing. They've been pushing Tesla for years on their use of this marketing, claiming that it is misleading to consumers and sets an unrealistic and, importantly, unmet expectation of highway autonomy that simply does not exist in the Tesla lineup. In court filings, California argued the Autopilot branding reasonably implies level 3, 4, or 5 autonomy to consumers. Importantly, level 3 and above on the SAE autonomy scale requires the automaker to assume legal responsibility within the operating domain. Even the most advanced and most sophisticated driver assistance sold by Tesla today is considered level 2. Full self-driving supervised is not a level 3 or above system. The legal liability of the car's actions fall completely on the driver, not on Tesla. Once regulators made Tesla choose between liability and branding, Autopilot's fate was sealed. Finally, after years of legal proceedings, California regulators ruled in December 2025 that Tesla had 60 days to comply with changes. This ruling was finalized this month in January 2026. Tesla was given two options. Option 1, bring the capability of Autopilot functionality up to SAE level 3, 4, or 5 to deliver on real certified levels of autonomy features. Or Option 2, cease using Autopilot as a name and document how and when this use was discontinued. Considering how Tesla's best and most expensive software suite still does not reach the certified higher levels of autonomy, there was no reasonable way Tesla could comply within the 60-day timeframe, which ends February 14th, 2026, so they chose to discontinue Autopilot altogether. In hindsight, Cybertruck wasn't the exception, it was the preview. The deadline of February 14th in general is interesting because it has served as a catalyst for Tesla's autonomy strategy in general. Tesla is actively promoting this deadline as the last day to purchase a perpetual per-vehicle license to full self-driving supervised for a whopping $8,000. After which point they claim they will only sell the software package as a subscription, which is currently $99 per month. Meanwhile, Elon is posting about the threat of the subscription price going up over time. However, it's unclear if that price would splinter for supervised versus unsupervised, with the goal of unsupervised being unmet and unfulfilled since they started selling a package with this name a full decade ago. At the end of the day, Tesla has some realities to face with their driver assistance and autonomy strategy. The first one being that they are now barred from using the Autopilot branding in one of their most important markets. After all, if California were its own country, it would rate as the fourth largest economy in the world. Second, Tesla's current take rate for their most sophisticated software suite is only around 10%. That means roughly 9 out of 10 Teslas sold have decided that FSD is not worth the $99 per month price of admission, let alone more. And this is after multiple waves of free trials. Third is the way FSD currently operates is not congruent with what most people are seeking from driver assistance. With the new options Tesla offers, customers are forced to either choose between essentially fully manual or fully automated with no middle ground. Tesla's optimizing for a future that still requires the driver to be legally responsible while asking them to give up control. That tension sits at the core of this entire strategy. Given that consumer surveys show that most, around 77% of buyers are interested in improved safety systems, what most consumers are actually looking for is highway fatigue reducing features such as lane keeping and high quality adaptive cruise. This is an area of driver assistance that makes Rivian's approach a joy to use, centered mainly around user-defined control and predictability. Tesla, who has one of the arguably most impressive higher levels of assistance available in North America, is uncompetitive in the area most buyers are looking for. Coupled with the fact that FSD doesn't give the driver explicit control over lane selection or maximum speed, but instead offers driver profiles to influence the car's decision for speed and lane decision, simply does not meet the bulk of the market demand. Until Tesla takes legal responsibility and allows users to be completely eyes off, asking drivers to give up granular control while still requiring them to be legally liable and mentally present creates conflict that is unlikely to resolve itself anytime soon. Meanwhile, products such as Comma AI and the inclusion of Chinese automaker BYD's God's Eye driver assistance being included for no additional fee across their entire lineup means that Tesla and their investors, who have been fighting 2 consecutive years of sales declines, may not have the highlight reel they are expecting from these changes. Ideally, I would love to see Tesla take their existing and highly impressive FSD stack, add the ability for additional guardrails such as static lane selection and user-defined set speed, and ultimately bring back Autopilot with a name that is less vulnerable to regulatory pressure. And while Elon is highly motivated to sell a recurring subscription to customers for point-to-point autonomy, these changes, coupled with those individual financial incentives, are resulting in a far less appealing product for prospective buyers. If you're curious about what other American EV automakers are doing in the driver assistance space, check out this video where I got an early developer preview of point-to-point autonomy that Rivian is working on, tested on the same production hardware they are shipping today. Until next time, stay curious.